In this video, I'm going to explain compound inequalities. A compound inequality is simply two or more inequalities that are joined together. X is greater than 2 or x is less than -4. Let's look at x is greater than 2 first. For x is greater than 2, we're going to circle the 2, and x is greater than that, so we're going to shade in everything to the right. For x is less than -4, we're going to circle the -4, not filling in the circle, but shading in everything to the left. Because this is or, this is saying that x can be greater than 2, or x can be less than -4. So this would be our answer in picture. For our next problem, we have x is less than or equal to 5, or x is greater than -1. Taking care of the first inequality, x is less than or equal to 5, so we're going to circle the 5 and fill it in, and we're going to shade in everything to the left. For the next one, it says x is greater than -1. So we're going to circle the -1 and shade in everything to the right. Essentially, this is the entire number line. So if you were to draw this picture, you could just shade in the entire line. We essentially have the same thing in this next problem, except that we're saying and. So, doing the left side first, x is less than or equal to 5, circle and fill in the 5, and it's going to be everything to the left of that, shaded in. X is greater than -1, circle the -1, and shade in everything to the right. Now because it says and, our answer is where the numbers overlap. The numbers overlap between 5 and -1. Remember, for the blue line, the -1 was circled, so the red actually does not overlap the -1. So we would put a circle around -1 and shade in everything between that and the 5, but the 5 is filled in because both intersect the 5. So the black shaded in line would be our answer to this inequality. Looking at this example, we have and again, so it's going to be where the numbers overlap. Next problem, we have and again, so we're going to shade in where the numbers intersect or overlap. Looking at our first side, x is greater than 5, we circle the 5 and shade in everything to the right. The second inequality says that x is less than -2. So we circle the -2 and shade in everything to the left. Now remember, this is and, so we have to shade in where they overlap, and there is no overlap. So there is no solution to this problem. Let's say that we're given 5 minus 2x is less than 7 and 2 plus 3x is less than 8. We're going to have to solve for x on both inequalities before we can graph them. So we're going to move the 5 to the other side on the first one. So that's going to leave us with a -2x is less than 7 minus 5 is simply 2. Now we're going to divide by a -2 on both sides. And remember, when we divide by a negative, we flip the inequality. So this is going to give us x is greater than -1. Let's go ahead and plot this. So x is greater than -1. We're going to circle the -1 and shade in everything to the right. For our next problem, we're going to subtract 2 from both sides to start and have 3x is less than 8 minus 2 is 6. Now we will just divide by 3 on both sides and get that x is less than 2. So now looking at our graph, we're going to circle the 2 and x is less than 2, so that's going to be everything to the left. But remember, in the beginning this problem said and, so that's where the graphs or the lines intersect. And they intersect between -1 and 2. So you would shade in that region, and that would be your answer. If you wanted to write your answer out in a complete form, you would say -1 is less than x, which is less than 2. So you can see here, this x is sandwiched in between the -1 and 2. If you were to look at this separately, for the left side, you would have that -1 is less than x, and for this side, you would have that x is less than 2. We can simply rewrite this left side to be x is greater than -1, because when we flip the sides, we flip the inequality. And you can see that this is the same thing that we had up there, and this is the same thing that we had up there. This one is a little trickier because it combined the inequality already for us. Just like whatever you do to the left side, you have to do to the right side, the same thing goes here. Whatever you do to the left side, you have to do to the middle, and you have to do to the right. So now instead of splitting the inequality in half, we're splitting it into 3 different pieces. Our goal is to get this x all by itself. So what we want to do is add 5 to every side to get rid of the 5 in the middle. So adding 5 to the middle, adding 5 to the right, and adding 5 to the left. That's going to result in 6 is less than 2x plus 0, which would still give us 2x, which is less than 3 plus 5 is 8. Now our next step will be to divide by the 2 to get the x by itself. So divide the middle by 2, the left by 2, and the right by 2. That's going to leave us with 3 is less than x, which is less than 4. And now we can graph that. 3 is less than x, so we're going to the right, but we're only going up until 4. So we're shading between the 3 and 4, and the 3 and 4 are not filled in. So 3 is less than x, which is less than 4, is our answer.